4 milliseconds. That's how fast a housefly's brain processes a single frame of the world around it, which is why your hand never stands a chance. Now compare that to your dog, curled up on the floor next to you right now, watching you move through the room in what might actually be slow motion. Not metaphor. Not exaggeration. Every second you experience might be stretching longer for them. Longer blinks, longer silences, longer waits by the door before you get home. And if that's true, then the 10 minutes you were just 5 minutes late. For them, it might not have felt like 10 minutes at all. Here's what you've probably always assumed. Time is time. A second for you is a second for your dog. A second for a fly. A second for anything with a brain and a heartbeat. It's easy to believe, because it's never had a reason to feel wrong. You watch your dog get bored, get excited, fall asleep, and it all looks like it's happening on your clock, at your pace. But scientists who study perception don't think time is a fixed thing that animals simply plug into. They think it's built, frame by frame, inside each individual brain. Which means the clock on your wall might be the only thing in the room actually moving at one single, agreed-upon speed. Everything alive around it could be experiencing that same hour completely differently. Here's where it gets specific. Researchers have looked at something called flicker fusion rate. Basically, how many individual frames per second an animal's eyes and brain can actually register before those frames blur into smooth motion. Small, fast metabolism animals tend to process more of these frames per second than we do. A fly, a hummingbird, even small songbirds, which means the swat you throw at a fly isn't really fast. To the fly, it might look like it's arriving in slow, avoidable stages. Dogs sit somewhere in between. Some research suggests dogs may process slightly more visual information per second than humans do, which could mean the 6 hours you're gone at work don't necessarily compress the way they might for you. They could stretch. And on the opposite end, larger, slower metabolism animals, elephants, for example, are theorized to experience time somewhat closer to how we do, or even slower. None of these are guesses about mood. They're not saying animals feel bored or impatient the way you do. They're pointing at something stranger. That the raw, physical experience of how fast now is happening may not be shared between you and the animals in your life at all. So sit with this for a second. If your dog's experience of time is even slightly stretched compared to yours, then the ordinary moments of your day, the ones you don't think twice about, land completely differently on their side of the room. The 20 minutes you spend scrolling before you get up to feed them. The time between "I'll be right back" and the door actually opening again. None of that is neutral for them the way it is for you. It might be longer, heavier, less like a pause and more like an absence. And if that's true for a dog, something we've spent thousands of years living alongside, studying, loving, then what about the animals we've spent far less time trying to understand? The ones in enclosures. Ones waiting in silence we've never bothered to imagine as long. Maybe the uncomfortable part was never about how fast a fly can dodge your hand. Maybe it's about how much of another creature's experience of time we've simply assumed away. You've spent your whole life measuring time the same way. 1 second, 1 minute, 1 hour, the same for everyone in the room. But maybe that was never true. Maybe you've just never had a reason to ask. And if time isn't the same for every creature around you, what about something even smaller than your dog? Something with a brain so different from yours, scientists are still arguing over whether it experiences time, or anything, at all. That's next.